I used to be subcontracted under Google, and before you go, wow, Google, I wasn't a hotshot programmer. I was just doing a mapping job. So I would go around in shopping malls and I would try to map out the places for Google's map applications. And before you go, wow, Google, I was also sacked from Google. There, now you have the truth. I'm not that great. On the day I was sacked, I was called into my manager's office and he told me, John, I'm sorry, but I have to terminate you. And as I prepared to leave, he said, hey, and one more thing. Maybe next time, just like I said sorry to you in real life, maybe you shouldn't say sorry to others over text messaging. That afternoon, I learned a very important lesson that I shouldn't say sorry to people over text messages. And that afternoon, I finally realized why millennials, or millennials like me, are so hard to manage. Today you might be managing a millennial and you might be wondering, how do I manage a millennial and engage them to help them to work with purpose and passion, especially in today's remote workforce? How do I help millennials to flourish at work and to thrive at work, and not merely just to bring their disengaged, bored selves? And today, as they work from home, how can I even be sure that they are working? How can I be sure that they're giving their best at work? You know, a friend I know knows that her company has a very strict policy on being in meetings to look like you're working. And so she's managed a very good workaround. Now, every single day, she calls and she appears in calls. But the thing is, she is calling herself. Well, now you see, millennials are pretty smart. And if you want to engage them at work, they are probably going to find a way around it. Are there ways where you can help them to bring their fullest selves to work? Especially when you don't see them today. I mean, after all, they have the power of alternate tabs. So even if they are in meetings, they might not be there. So how can you really engage them? Well, today, before we look at 2 ways we can engage them better, today we want to also look at why it's so hard to engage them. There are many stereotypes of millennials. There are stereotypes that they are lazy, entitled, they're always on their phones, they are the strawberry generation. They look nice on the outside, but they are soft on the inside. You can scold them or they will complain about you. They leave you bad reviews on Glassdoor or Google Maps, and you never want to offend a millennial. That is really scary, and that is what you are playing against. But if you look at millennials today, they're better traveled, they're more educated, they have all the world's information on their hands. And if you truly are able to tap onto their passions and their sense of purpose, you have a great workforce that's just waiting to be unleashed. And so how can we do that? To do that, we need to understand why today millennials are so misunderstood. And many of us talk about many reasons why that change has happened. We talk about the rise of technology, social media, phones, the internet. But today, I want to look at what hasn't changed. What hasn't changed is their desire for relationship. That's why you see millennials today connecting like crazy. They're on TikTok, social media, Facebook. The thing they have in their phones are the first thing they touch when they wake up. and the last thing they touch when they sleep. If you say today millennials are not interested in relationship, well, that's wrong. They are more interested in relationship than ever before. But the thing that we get wrong as millennials is that we can mistake connection for conversation. Sherry Turkle, the author and MIT psychologist, raises this in her great book, Reclaiming Conversation, where she explores how millennials are navigating the world of conversation today. She finds that they might often end up mistaking connections, quick short bursts of connection over social media, liking someone's page, commenting, quick updates over text as conversation. And so increasingly they are not used to the real life vagaries and changes in conversation. The sanitized connections they have over WhatsApp, where things can be edited, changed, emojis can be sent, is swapped for the messy real life conversations in work. And that's something that they are no longer used to. And Sherry Turkle argues that today, teens and millennials are losing the ability to converse. What does this mean for us as managers of millennials? It means that today they might be tempted to use short bursts of connection and mistake that for conversation. They're not used to exploring deep, searching questions over face-to-face, spontaneous interactions, but more comfortable with connections over Teams, WhatsApp, or even Yammer. Today, what this means is that whilst millennials want relationship, whilst they crave relationship, they might not have the necessary conversational skills to navigate those relationships. And so difficult questions like, what is your purpose in life? What is your meaning? What do you want to do here at work? Conversations that are messy, spontaneous, and often difficult to do might be dropped in favor of something more sanitized, more safe, more secure, like WhatsApp encrypted. That's safe. You might be listening to this and you might wonder, so what does this mean for me in terms of helping my millennial to find purpose and passion at work? Today I want to share two things. The first thing is helping them in terms of sacking yourself. Yes, just as Google sacked me, today I'm going to say to you very gently, very kindly, sack yourself. You are fired. It is time to stop thinking about yourself as the boss of the millennial, but to think of yourself as the brother of the millennial. Let me say this again, you are not the boss, you are the brother. Think of yourself as a big brother to the millennial. You are mentoring him, you are serving as a coach to him, but he is definitely not there to be bossed around by you. It's very tempting to treat work as a transaction where you tell your millennial, I am telling you to do this because you are my employee, I am your boss, and so do it. You lose a valuable opportunity there to build a real relationship with your millennial. Very often, work can be a transaction. It can be like going to an ATM, you punch in your time card, and you pull out money. Well, millennials don't want that. They might say that they want perks like work from home, They want big projects to work on that fit with their skills and their passion. They want people to manage even though they've just been working for 3 months. And all these things sound great and big. And these conversations are best mediated through relationship. How can you have a better relationship with your millennial? Well, for one, start having 1-2 focus time with him. Introduced by Bruce Dugan, this 1-2 focus time focuses on quality one-to-one interactions with your millennial, where you have a face-to-face, real-life conversation with him. And the beauty of these structured conversations is that it brings clarity to the millennials' work. So each week on a Monday, spend 30 minutes in the diary where you talk about the millennials' priorities, how he's going to work through them, what he's going to do, what the challenges he envisions, and what are the outcomes that he wants. And as you have that conversation with him, you'll begin to realize that there are potential snags that he might face, and you help him along the way. This takes a coaching perspective rather than a boss's perspective, where you simply assign a task and you wait for him to give it back to you. Well, you might say, I am a boss. I am not your bro. And you might wonder, is this going to blur things? Well, my argument to you is that today millennials are at work for relationship. And if that relationship is simply going to be a top-down relationship rather than a lateral relationship where you are coming alongside him, where you are also protecting him, and where you are also capable of leading him, then that is not something millennials would be engaged by. Because no one likes being bossed around, just as you don't. I don't. So treat your millennial as you treat yourself when you were 25. The next aspect is to scale their progress. Millennials want that sense of progress and that sense that they are moving somewhere in their careers. They don't want to be told, yes, I will give you this in 3 months, 3 years. You'll be here at the end of 5 years. Because just as a millennial once said, gosh, I don't even know whether you're here. You're going to be here in 1 year, let alone 5 years. And today, millennials can hop from place to place, and they are known as job hoppers. But today, you can change that by scaling them. What this means is that, like a ruler, you let them know that this is where they are at the moment. And then you let them know what they need to do to progress to the next stage. Millennials are new to the world of work. They might not know what the competencies they need to show in order to level up to the next stage. And something that Bruce Dugan suggests is to help them by assigning them an individualized learning plan. And on that, write down all the tasks that they have to do, the responsibilities they have, get them to do this, and then to write out the resources they can find in order to do these jobs better. And at the end of the week, to reflect on something that they have learned and to put it in their individual learning journal. This helps them to feel like there is some progress in their work, and it helps them to be deliberate and structured about that progress. As I close, I want to share a quick story with you. In high school, because of a conflict with my coach, I was frozen out. So for 3 months, the coach didn't speak to me. This lengthened to 6 months. All I did every day at training was go pick the balls, feed the balls into the pitching machine at the softball field, and train with other guys who had been frozen. Clearly, this looked like the end of my softball career. But one afternoon, the coach was sharing about his personal life philosophy. And he said, every single day I look at myself in the mirror and I think to myself, am I doing the best that I can? Then he looked at me and he said, yesterday I was asking myself, every day John comes for training, whether or not I talk to him, and I ask myself, am I doing the best I can towards him? Am I doing the best I can towards him? And from that day onwards, he accepted me back into his team and he gave me a place and he trained me again. That is the same for you and your millennial. Every day, your millennial brings his hopes, his dreams, and his fullest skills. And he's asking you, will you play me, coach? Will you play me? Will you please put me on the field? He brings his hopes, his dreams, and he presents them to you. And he asks very vulnerably, do you trust me, coach? Do you trust me to do this, coach? And today you hold their dreams in their hands. And so, here's the question for you. Do you trust your millennial? Because if you do, he's asking you to walk alongside him, to lead him, to trust him, and to dream with him. What has helped in your own journey with your millennials to live with passion and purpose? Let me know in the comments below and I would love to hear from you soon.